Well, there's nothing like a little presidential trollery to make the press run in circles, shrieking like hens who've been trained at hen school to run in circles and shriek at a little presidential trollery. Anyone who's paid attention to this president understands that he uses his belligerent New York sense of humor to tease and annoy anyone he finds to be a puffed-up fake or blowhard, whether it's Kim Jong-un, the Iranian mullahs, or Brian Stelter at CNN. But the press doesn't seem to get the joke. For one thing, it's hard for them to see Trump clearly without removing their heads from the bottom 12 inches of their lower intestines. And for another thing, if they grant that Trump uses humor and insult strategically, they might have to admit that the reason he beat their favored gangster lady of a candidate in the last election, the reason he achieved more that was good for America in his first year in office than the last president ever achieved, and the reason his poll numbers have begun climbing despite their relentless negative coverage, is that he's smarter than they are, which is actually pretty funny in and of itself. On Monday, during his New Year's address, brutal stinky pants fat boy Kim Jong-un of North Korea told his starving people, quote, "The entire mainland of the U.S. is within the range of our nuclear weapons, and the nuclear button is always on the desk of my office. They should accurately be aware that this is not a threat, but a reality." Yesterday, Trump hilariously tweeted back, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works. The result was a rain of hellfire and death that left 2 continents leveled to ruins under a rain of radioactive ash. No, I'm actually joking, so maybe Jake Tapper and Brian Stelter and Anderson Cooper can come out from under their desks now and take their heads out of their asses as well. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, it's Mailbag Day, in which all your questions will be answered with 100% accuracy. I mean, how often does that happen? How many times has that happened in your life? This will change your life, and it's possible it will change your life for the better. You have to experiment. You have to be brave and experiment and find out. Meanwhile, it's the New Year, so you've probably made some New Year's resolutions. I actually don't make New Year's resolutions. I make New Year's plans. I do make a list of things that I hope to accomplish in the new year, but I don't really make resolutions because they're very breakable. But if you do make resolutions, a lot of people do. And actually we always joke about the fact that, people make resolutions and they break them. But that's because they make resolutions about things that they're probably not going to be able to do, like diet, which is not good for you anyway. You should just change your eating habits altogether. Those are the kinds of things you don't follow through on. But the kind of things you do follow through on, I think, are plans. And if you have plans and you want to extend, like one of the things I'd like to do in this coming year is I'd like to learn how to play the piano. I have a keyboard and I want to hook it up and get some lessons. And the thing that can really help you with this is Skillshare, because Skillshare is it's an online, still have a little bit of flu here, folks. Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 18,000 classes in design, business, technology, and more. And what they're just a series of classes that you watch the videos, and an expert in the field will explain to you things that you can do to help you develop a new skill, or approach a new business, or just even learn a hobby that you want to learn. I've tested them out just so I could do the ads. I tested them out by asking them about writing, and I found their advice really good, really helpful. I mean, obviously it was stuff that I knew because I'd been in the business a long time, but that was really helpful. And then when Knowles and I did Another Kingdom, when we put Another Kingdom up, I actually got to the point where we faced so many obstacles and so many things that went wrong. I actually went to Skillshare and started to ask it about, get lessons on doing a podcast. Now, I know I do this podcast, but a lot of this podcast is taken care of, and this was something we all had to do from scratch, and it was really helpful. It's really good stuff. And just in time for the new year and your resolutions, Skillshare is offering my listeners a limited time offer of 3 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. Pretty good deal, 99 cents, which comes out to about $1. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/Andrew99. That's how they know that you're coming from us and that you're looking at this offer. And that is very helpful to us as well because it keeps the lights on. And some of you guys probably get paid. Nah, maybe. I can't imagine why. But some of these people get paid, and it really helps if our sponsors stay with us, and they stay with us because you sign up or go to Skillshare.com/Andrew99 and check out this deal. Skillshare.com/Andrew99, and you get 3 months of Skillshare for only 99 cents. Act now for this special New Year's offer and start learning today. And it's just, it's worth it just to go through the videos and try them out. I really enjoyed them, and I thought they were very helpful. So Trump starts off the second year of his presidency with a tweet storm that shook the world, but also, more importantly, it made me laugh. I mean, the guy, he obviously knows how to dominate news cycles, and he sets the agenda, and he's also getting serious work done. And the reaction of the media is kind of telling, especially when you look back. We're going to look back a little bit at some of the stuff that Ronald Reagan did and the way the media reacted to that, and just compare and contrast, because some of the same thing is going on. But let's just take a look at some of these tweets. He put out this tweet about how we're spending all this money for giving aid to Pakistan, and Pakistan is not helping us with terrorists. And this is a big deal. I keep hearing these commentators. It's amazing the level of commentary on mainstream news shows that is so ill-informed. I mean, in Pakistan, the security services are riddled, laced with Islamists. Okay, so this is a place where Islamism is very, very embedded in the government culture, and there's a lot of problems there. And so when we want the help with, they're on the border of Afghanistan. They're all actually on the border of what's called the Fatah, the federally administered tribal areas, which are just basically the Badlands between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and we need their help sometimes to get in there, and they haven't given it to us, and they let the terrorists, the Taliban, recede into the Fatah during the winter months so they can come back in the spring and kill people. And the problem is, of course, Afghanistan is a prehistoric country. I mean, I've been in Afghanistan, and you stand in there places where you just expect to see Jurassic Park come. You expect to see like a Tyrannosaurus Rex coming over the cliff, because it looks like no civilized life has ever gone there. And so we're there, and I don't know why we're there. I got to be honest. I do not know. I came back from Afghanistan realizing that it was the stupidest war in the world, because there's nothing we can do. What we do is we go into these villages and we, spend money, and the money goes to graft, and the money disappears and vanishes into the corrupt system. And then the minute we pull out of the villages, the Taliban comes back out of the Fatah and out of the hills and out of the caves. And the people know if they cooperate with us, they're going to be killed, and we can't stay there forever and keep them going. And Afghanistan has been there for a long time. They call it the graveyard of empires for a reason. So Trump has been tweeting that Pakistan isn't helping us. And he says it's not only Pakistan that we pay billions of dollars to for nothing, but also many other countries and others. As an example, we pay the Palestinians hundreds of millions of dollars a year and get no appreciation or respect. They don't even want to negotiate a long overdue peace treaty with Israel. We've taken Jerusalem, the toughest part of the negotiation, off the table, but Israel, for that, would have had to pay more. But with the Palestinians no longer willing to talk peace, why should we make any of these massive future payments to them? So this is like trollery of the first, water serene, because the thing is, obviously, aid is a weird thing, because we give aid to these horrible people in these horrible countries. And the only thing we really get out of them sometimes is that they don't take aid from our enemies. So that's it. That is essentially what we're doing, is we're paying blackmail, we're paying ransom to keep them not even on our side, but to keep them from playing ball with our enemies. So that's one tweet. And then he comes out like almost with the next breath, I will be announcing the most dishonest and corrupt media awards of the year on Monday at 5 o'clock. Subjects will cover dishonesty and bad reporting in various categories from the fake news media. Stay tuned. Now, I just want to say one thing. Please let me be a presenter at these awards. I haven't asked this administration for anything. All I want is to go to these awards and deliver the prize for the most dishonest and corrupt media awards of the year. I mean, I would like to be the host. I would like to be the Bob Hope of the most dishonest media. So, of course, so anyway, going on, then he goes on, crooked Hillary Clinton's top aide, Uma Abedin, has been accused of disregarding basic security protocols. She put classified passwords into the hands of foreign agents. Remember sailors' pictures on a submarine? Jail. Deep State Justice Department must finally act also on Comey and others. So this just goes on. I mean, it was just a storm, plus this thing with North Korea, where he just basically told this guy, yeah, you're going to blow us up. We will blow you up so fast. It doesn't matter. So let's just take a look at the measured reaction of our, big minds in the news media. Let's start with Brian Stelter and Anderson Cooper on CNN. This is number one.
What's on the president's mind? We know what's on the president's mind. 16 tweets today to start the new year. Some of them deeply disturbing.
Right. I mean, considering how the new year has started, what does this say about the year?
Madness. And I think we should start to call it that, shouldn't we? When President Trump was inaugurated last January, some writers, some columnists like Andrew Sullivan started right away to raise concerns about the president's mental health, about his fitness for office. In the months that followed, we saw Republican senators like Jeff Flake bring these issues up, try to ask about his fitness for office. Bob Corker, another name that comes to mind. I think we could apply a test to his 16 tweets today. The test would be, if this were the leader of Germany or China or Brazil, what would we say? How would we cover these tweets? We would say these are the messages from a person who is not well, from a leader who is not fit for office.
So once again, we go back to this old line that the press has been promoting since the election, that Trump is out of his mind, that he's crazy. And it's just, it's madness. It's madness. It's all madness. And if this was some other guy that, but it's not. I mean, that's the thing. It's Trump being Trump and talking like Trump. So I want to go back to 1984 to a very famous incident. Ronald Reagan was about to make his weekly address, and he did a mic check. And he made the following joke, is I guess cut 7.
My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes.
We outlawed Russia forever, and we begin bombing. And this is the height of the Cold War, right? This is where the Cold War crisis begins. I was working, I believe, at ABC News at the time this happened, and the press went insane. It was as if he had launched an actual nuclear strike. And the New York Times, and Reagan, you have to understand that Reagan is where the press began its journey into dishonesty. Okay. Up until this time, there was kind of a consensus in America that we were kind of a liberal, middle of the road, kind of economically right-wing, but socially slowly liberalizing country. Everybody was fighting over the 50-yard line. But it was always going to be Democrats were going to essentially win and push the ball further. The ratchet only turned one way. And when Reagan won, just like with Trump, there was such shock that I really do believe that something clicked in the minds of our journalists, and they said, we will never let this happen again. And it was from that moment that the press really became just an agent of the Democrat Party. It was just essentially that there was one party of truth and one party of hatred. The Democrats were the party of truth. Reagan and the Republicans were the party of hatred, and they just went to war. Here is the New York Times, which then was an actual newspaper. It had not yet become a former newspaper. The New York Times reacting to what you just heard, that 9-second joke. President Reagan's gaffe about bombing the Soviet Union has risked tarnishing his recent foreign policy advances and undercutting deliberate efforts by the administration to put him in a better position in this area for the election campaign. In response to a formal Soviet statement calling the president's remark unprecedentedly hostile toward the Soviet Union, the State Department accused Moscow today of blowing the subject way out of proportion. But in private, high officials and some Republican strategists acknowledged that they winced over the remark by the president last Saturday. So the people in the office, and one of the traits of people who work for the president is they very quickly begin to think that they're smarter than the president. This happens in every presidency. So they start to say, oh, this, after working for months to show him in a more conciliatory stance and to put the onus on Moscow for a chill in relations, some officials were concerned that he had unintentionally touched off new uneasiness in Western Europe and had done political damage at home. This is a 9-second joke, okay? And one of the associates, who unnamed, said, I'm sure there's no one who regrets this more and is kicking himself more than Ronald Reagan. Okay, and same today with Trump. Mediaite reporting on Axios said, as President Donald Trump's testy back and forth with Kim Jong-un reached a climax last night, some White House officials are reportedly concerned that the president will accidentally instigate a war with the North Korean leader due to his reckless Twitter habits, right? This is what we're really worried about. You know, does anybody really believe that Kim Jong-un is going to set off a rocket because of this? You know, SNL, Saturday Night Live, did a very funny skit on Ronald Reagan. And it was hostile. It was all about, you know, Reagan and Iran-Contra and the scandal and all this. But the joke was that Reagan looks like an idiot in front of the press because that's what the press saw. But behind the scenes, he was an evil mastermind. Just play a little bit of this because it really is hilarious.
Well, hello, little girl. What's your name?
Lisa Myers.
Well, Lisa, if you're that good a sales lady, maybe I could use you up on Capitol Hill. Well, it was nice meeting you.
Come on, Lisa. Come on.
Bye-bye.
Back to work!
Afghanistan needs more money. We've got 65.2 million tucked away in Zurich. Now, if we hold it there for another 30 days at 7.28% interest, that's roughly $400,000.
397,200.
And 85. I know, don't waste my time. But if we take out only 20 million, we'll lose roughly, let's see, that's
121,800.
And 16. Thank you so much. Yes.
Mr. President, it's Mr. Karan Hassan Fassan.
Put him on the speaker.
Rana, du musst aber auch gerade lemme kurzem.
Karisma Sushari, Allah Kamara Gazi.
Dann ich muss schon studieren, Marato. Du machst mit der Job.
Oh, Bukarakaragasha. Makalana ho, Makachani he.
Makachani ho, Basachlem.
Well, gentlemen, I just concluded a very lucrative deal with the Iraqis.
Mr. President, it just occurred to me. What if something should happen to you? You're the only one who knows what's going on.
And that's the way it's going to stay.
So, the funny thing about the thing that made this so funny was there's actually truth to this. If you take out the fact that he's an evil genius and all this stuff, the actual truth about this was that the joke was intentional. I'm sure that Reagan knew that mic was live. I mean, he was an old-time radio hand. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that the mic might be live, if nothing else. He was letting the Soviet Union know, and as he continually did, that they had no moral leg to stand on. He was making fun of them. He was making fun of the fact that they were, bearish, warlike, and blustering people, and he wasn't going to take them seriously, and he wasn't afraid of them. And the same thing is true about Donald Trump and this clown in North Korea. The one thing this guy depends on is people taking him seriously and acting as if he's a dangerous threat. And he may, in fact, be a dangerous threat. But why do you think the one thing that drove him so nuts, that drove the North Koreans so nuts, was when they put out that movie, The Interview? Remember the movie, The Interview, and it was Sony, I believe. They forced them to just release it online because they were afraid of releasing it in theaters. And why? Why did they, why, never mind the cowardice of the studio in that case, but why did they take, because it didn't take him seriously. It didn't take him seriously. And that is Trump's strategy, and he's doing it on purpose. And if Trump is not good at gauging his opponents and defeating them through knowing who they are, then explain to me where the other 16 Republican candidates are who tried to beat him for the presidency. And by the way, one Democrat who also didn't beat him for if he didn't know, people keep saying, oh, he got lucky and stumbled into the presidency. He saw his moment. He saw his moment. He knew who he could beat, and he knew how. And he's doing the same exact thing here. Just play a moment from this thing. This is what dictators are afraid of. This is what they're afraid of more than anything else is jokes. And here's just a scene from The Interview where James Franco and the dictator in North Korea bond over Katy Perry.
Look, you have a sound system in here?
Oh, no. Don't touch.
Katy Perry?
Oh,
You know, my wife must have put that in there because I've never heard this before in my life.
I love Katy Perry. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. I love it. I mean, I listen to this all the time.
Really?
I love her. You know why I really like her? Because she has such a strong message for young women and girls across the planet.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
You know, Dave, sometimes I feel like a plastic bag.
Drifting through the wind?
Wanting to start again.
Oh. As you shoot across the sky.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Dave, do you think that margaritas are gay because they are so sweet?
Did someone tell you that? That margaritas are gay?
No, it's just a question I have.
If liking Katy Perry and drinking margaritas is gay, then who wants to be straight?
Oh, not me.
Boring! Margaritas are great, and whoever planted that in your head is crazy.
That's what dictators are afraid of, and no kidding. And Trump knows it, and that's what he's doing. Hey, you know, if you want to be more informed about history in a entertaining way, there's a new podcast coming out from Wondery called American History Tellers. It starts today, and you can go to subscribe to American History Tellers on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, where you're listening to, as I know, Another Kingdom. You know, you want to go and download American History Tellers. It is this fellow named Lindsey Graham, and no, it's not that Lindsey Graham. He is a guy who's fascinated with history, and he teams up with PhD historians to bring you a new take on history telling. He takes the first person's perspective, and it has sound design. It really gets you kind of into the history. I've listened to the first episode, and it really is entertaining, an entertaining way. And the first 6 episodes for the new series cover the Cold War. And so this is something like, you just shouldn't forget this stuff, because this is something that really, a lot of the patterns that developed during the Cold War are repeating themselves today, and you really will learn a lot. The show starts today, January 3rd. You can start listening to the first episode right now. Check out American History Tellers on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe. American History Tellers. Subscribe today. Really entertaining way to learn stuff, and it's nice to have an easy way where you suddenly know this stuff and you're not like walking blind, because remember, our opponents, let us call them that, our opponents depend on our ignorance. They depend on us not knowing what happened in the past. So this is a really good way to find out. We got a break from YouTube and from Facebook. The mailbag is coming up. How can you just sit there? How can you just sit there when all your problems could be solved? Come on over to thedailywire.com and subscribe. You can watch the whole show. If you're a subscriber, for a lousy $10 a month, you can watch the whole show right on the website, and you won't be cast out into the exterior darkness where there is great wailing and gnashing of teeth.